Right?
me you're looking for. I can see it in your eyes. I don't know the rest of the lyrics. You guys know what comes after that? It's something that goes up and da 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 da. Anyways, are we recording?
Yeah, that you just introed us. You said hello.
What a great intro! Oh my goodness. Well, welcome everybody. To the fifth,
Fourth.
fourth. Oh, damn it! I should have just gone with my gut. I've been good at
You're
this.
always one under. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the I don't know what we said. Fourth podcast.
Yeah.
Definitely our fourth one.
Yep.
Today we got some fun stuff to talk about. Today I got to talk about the Final Fantasy 14 World Race. That's happening literally right now. It started at 3 a.m., so I've been awake for a long time.
Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah.
We're gonna do some spoiler-free Succession talk and some Street Fighter and Diablo coming up.
Oh yeah, Diablo. That's like next week, isn't it? Kari?
Mine not as interesting, but I got a new chair to talk about ergonomics or desk setups could be a little topic.
I think that's important.
I have
that's
a,
important.
Yeah.
I think but also I brought a topic about a lawyer that used ChatGPT.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody quickly read the article to make sure we're not about to bamboozle everybody. Anyways, who wants to go first? I can go first just because I'm just good to go. I've been staring at it since 3 a.m.
Sure.
Okay, well, if you don't know, Final Fantasy is like a big MMO. It's probably the other big competitor to WoW. And the final raid tier of this expansion just came out. So it's 4 fights, kind of 5.
What is that exactly?
So they're 8-man. So a raid tier is it's a set of fights that you do with a set group of people. Like you're doing it with 7 other people, so the teams of 8 people, and you have to do 5 fights in a specific order. So what the world first is who can beat all 5 the fastest, starting at 3 a.m. PST this morning. That's the time, just because it's a Japanese release and it's a worldwide release. That's just what happens. So people have been live streaming and going at it since 3 a.m. this morning. They'll probably go for about 2.5 days. The fastest tiers ever have been like 15 hours, and the longest tiers have been literally a month, but they don't do that anymore. It'll probably take between 1 and 3 days.
But yeah, it's like 24/7 playing, basically.
Yep.
Why are you participating?
It's a good question. It's because I have a job. I'm not in any of the world first groups. After last tier and my experience with some of the players I was playing with, I just quit. I quit the game actually for the last. I have not logged in for 5 months, and I logged in like 2 days ago and I started playing again because of the new tier. This tier is special specifically because this is when I started playing the game last expansion. And essentially this tier will take an entire year to complete for a couple reasons. So it's like I have a year to just kind of chill and play through it slow. So I'm just kind of I'm doing it way more chill than I did in the past. But yeah, I'm going to be watching this for the next like day or two. It's great watching them play because you see like top tier players dying to the dumbest shit. And it's because you're watching like 5 streams at the same time, because there's like one stream that does like multicasting. You figure out the mechanics really quick, and then you still see these pros just eating shit over and over and over again. But yeah.
Wow.
Super exciting. World first. I wish more games had stuff like this, like world first races and stuff, because it's like a very
what's another game?
World of Warcraft. Theirs is really, really big. But they do
what other game would you win it in? You said that you wish other games had it. Yeah,
Lost Ark doesn't really have a huge theme for it. I mean, I think any game could do it on release. Like if you're a PvE game or something, just throw out the hardest difficulty, do some sponsored streams, get like 5 to 10 teams together, do a big event. I think that'd be fun. Like who can do it the first, like the fastest. Put a prize pool, 250,000 or something out. You'd probably have a pretty exciting event. Anything that's PvE could do it. I mean, like Lost Ark could do it. Lost Ark's probably one of the bigger MMOs. It's definitely one of the bigger MMOs. Path of Exile could do it. Diablo could do it. Like, there's tons and tons of examples. But Blizzard with WoW is probably the big one. Like they do actual like hundreds of thousands of viewers at the start and during the final boss clear. But that WoW usually takes a week, I think. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch because like these fights, you're figuring it out. Like right now, no one knows what the fuck's happening, and it's cool to watch because you're gonna over the next year you're gonna learn these to such a degree. It's hard to explain, but you're
So
gonna have
like,
such a solid connection with these fights. It's fun to like start from scratch with everybody. That's what I'm saying.
how long does it usually take people? Like for like the first.
The first fight usually takes between an hour to 3 hours. I think this took roughly people about 3 hours. But these
Yeah.
are like world class players for 3 hours blind. Most
Jeez.
players can go in with guides, and it will take them between 3 hours
So
and 9 hours.
when you say world class players, these are all like streamers, basically, right? Because they clearly don't have a
A lot of
job.
no,
Or...
a lot of the top teams don't stream because they don't want to show strats, so they're not streamers. They're just
So then,
really really good
are
players.
they just? So they just, I guess, like, who are these people generally? Just people that go.
Nobody special. If you're in the community, you know who they are. Usually
So
they're
like,
also high up on parts boards and stuff. So like some of the best players in the world are usually on. There's a lot of metrics that measure who's the best. But
is
Neverland,
it
they're
a
probably
lot
one
of
of the
free
best
time?
teams. Not necessarily because like World First, there's only a few times a year where it matters. Essentially, it's like there's about twice a year that you need to free up about either a couple days or a week. And that's kind of it, which I feel like anyone can do. And then as long as you're playing the game 40 to 60 hours a week for like the 6 months before that, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, just a small commitment, Kari.
This is so.
That's not that much.
It's a lot.
It's a bit. It's a bit
But I
high.
mean, you
It's
can
another
hold
full time job.
Yeah, no, but you can hold a
Yeah.
full-time job while you do this. That's my point. Is you can still do it. Where a lot of
And
like
have no
actual
time for
sporting
anything
events.
else.
Yeah, no, but like you can't play basketball and then hold a 9 to 5. Like it doesn't work. You wouldn't be able to do that. You know what I mean?
I mean, like professional basketball,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah. Well, the whole point is you can do a lot of training. Like a lot of the players that are really good have been playing the game for like 15 years or 10
Yeah.
years. So
And you said this is like the last one they're ever doing, or just the last one of this?
it's the last one of this expansion. We get a couple other fights like throughout the year. But
Gotcha.
there's 3 tiers every expansion. This is the final tier. And then essentially it's a bunch of story stuff and a bunch of like other smaller fights. They're not like full Savage fights. So essentially in about 3 months the game will probably go into like we run into a big content slump for the next year. There's still some like reasons to come back like every like, couple months. I'll probably be playing most the next year because it's so chill. And then it's a good time to also go catch up on old stuff, like stuff that I haven't gotten to from that I ran out of time to do, or like I didn't do in the last 5 months when I wasn't playing. But yeah, it's super exciting. World Firsts are always fun to watch, just because it's a bunch of really good players just eating shit to the easiest crap. It's very funny. It's also fun, like trying to puzzle out the mechanics and figure out how they work, because they're usually like a lot of the mechanics are references to other fights.
Yeah.
So
Like,
remembering
are
a
they
fight
still
from
doing
7 years
like
ago.
brand new kind of like boss mechanics?
Oh god,
Or is it all
yeah.
kind of revamped and just like
So like a mechanic might
Boss
be
rush.
like everyone gets a number over their head, and then like that might be a mechanic, and then in the order of the numbers that appear over everyone's heads, 1 through 8, the boss like punches them. Think of that as a mechanic. That's a mechanic called limit cut specifically. So that mechanic is called limit cut because it was the first time that ever appeared. The mechanic was called limit cut like 6 years ago or whatever, right? So, but nowadays it'll be like limit cut and then like 3 or 4 other things that are completely brand new, or
Is
like
there a
maybe
limit
one of
break?
those. So it's like yeah, limit break is
oh right, that's
yeah,
fun.
it's just a Final
What am I
Fantasy.
talking about?
Yeah. There's just this limit break is just big. There's like the whole team shares this big limit break that charges up, and you can use
That's
it for
cool.
damage or a full team res or stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool as shit.
Final
But
Fantasy 16 comes out this month
and then
too.
that comes out. Does that come out this month? Oh my god!
Yeah, June, I believe.
Very excited for that
Yeah,
because it's
I would
the
play that.
team that did Final Fantasy 14. They're
Right.
doing 16. Um,
It looks. I think I've heard
Yeah.
good things from people who have previewed it.
Yeah,
So.
What's
I would
what's
totally agree
the
with that. Yoshi
What's
P
the
will be good.
gameplay of these new ones? Is it supposed to?
16, it's like a
It's like
knockup fighter, combo fighter,
It's like
yeah.
real time, like kind of action
old school God
adventure.
of War. Yeah. Oh, God of
I'm
War is
guessing
probably the
you
closest thing. Like
Yeah.
from.
really? Are you
Oh yeah.
really
Yeah.
to the Final Fantasy 3D games? Really?
Final
The
Fantasy
the the,
16
the newest
specifically.
one at least.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Nothing like 14. Specifically 16.
Yeah.
What
And
was
15
was
was
15 like? Was that the
15
one
was
with the three
close
guys?
to the three guys. It was like still kind of it wasn't probably like as actiony. Like I can't remember if I don't think it was turn
I
based,
see.
but it was kind of like an in between of probably what you think and then what
That's
16
what I
is.
was thinking of. Gotcha. So
I'm
it's
pretty
not
sure
like that at
16
all.
is straight up like God of War combo fighter.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I see.
Big
Like
I
bosses,
see.
people compared it to like Devil May Cry, I think too.
Yeah. Very DMC. So the
I
story will
see.
probably be pretty good considering who's writing it. But
I think they said that's heavily influenced by Game of Thrones too. Is that the show or the game where they made everybody working on it watch Game of Thrones? Pretty sure that was that.
I
I
don't
hear about
know.
this.
I would say maybe because they are Japanese,
Yeah.
and it's very rare that they would reference something Western. You know, um, but
Oh yeah.
they might have because Yoshi P
Oh,
does play a lot of like Western games, so maybe.
past
Either way, it's
console.
Yoshi P. Yoshi P's the guy that did Final Fantasy 14. He's the guy that recovered it and like guided the whole game for the last 8 years or 10 years. So I trust him to make a fun game. And even if it's not fun on release, he'd probably make it fun down the
Yeah.
road. So,
Yeah, the producer wanted to have a similar feel to Game of Thrones and had all the developers watch Game of Thrones.
yeah, yeah, I totally believe that. I mean, Final Fantasy 14 has a lot of like espionage and like just solid writing, political writing. So it should be good. 16's
So
good.
are you going
Four,
to
am I going to play 16?
well no, for 16, this is actually another question. For these like Japanese games, do you guys have it on English or do you guys do subtitles?
Yes, I do English. I do English.
Because I usually do subtitles because I'm not a fan of the voice acting because it kind of
Okay, what I
messes
would
up
say for 14, the like the what is it called? The localization team is really good. So I'm
hmm
assuming they're going to use the same team for 16, so it's probably going to be really good.
I'm
To the
not saying
point
the
where like
localization. I'm saying like the voice acting specifically. So like it's
yeah, that's
based on
that's localization. Right?
well, localization is specifically the team that's like translating everything as a whole, right? So you could have different voice actors in the same localization team, and it could, you know,
What?
vary in quality.
I'm saying the localization team does a good job at hiring the right voice actors. The localization
hmm
team for 14 spends a lot of the time working on the base game. So, like references that, like normally in games, you might have references in Japanese that wouldn't make sense directly translated over. But when they do translate it over, they change it so the references in like the historical meaning of the words or whatever still carry over to make references to other things. They do a really good job of it. So,
I get that. I get that. I just have yet to have seen something I liked. Um, but maybe I
they do
really
a good
didn't
job
like
with it.
Seven remake voice
Oh,
acting.
yeah, no, we're different calibers here.
I,
Yeah. I
but
think they'll do a good job. I mean, you can
I don't
also
know. I always
probably that's a
also
game that you could probably play in
there's
Japanese, no big deal. You
that's
know,
that's the kind of thing where like I kind of feel like you almost get the true experience that way. I don't know, like you get the act,
if
who they
the
casted
voice acting
originally.
and
You know what
stuff
I
in
mean?
14 has been really good, especially in the last like couple of years. They've done a really good job with it. Um, so I'd trust Yoshi P to be doing like a similar level of quality for 16. Like it never felt
Yeah.
stilted.
No, yeah, and that could be the case. But I guess my follow-up question is like, do you feel? Almost feel like the authentic original is what I always like to experience when I play games. You know what I mean? Like
I
even
mean,
when I watch
I don't speak
same thing
Japanese,
goes
so
for
like
like
playing a game, so I miss the entire story. I feel like
it's
that's not
subtitled.
relevant.
Um,
Subtitles, fuck off.
Even can't read.
I can't
but like when you watch
read.
like a Netflix like German show or something, right? Like I'm not going to watch the dub of all
I think it
right.
always comes down for me. It always comes down to how good's the dub. If the dub is actually
I
good,
did,
like I always try and do the dub because
I
if
get
it's
that
good,
dubs
I'll
can be
watch
good.
it.
I get that. I'm not one to diss all dubs. I'm just saying I just generally default to the original source.
I
Maybe
think here's what I'd say. I think I spend most of the time watching the original source on stuff with subtitles. I think I do what you're saying, but I
yeah.
always try the dub just in case it's actually good. Because I'll enjoy the dub more. because I don't have to be staring at the fucking screen. Most of the time, I'm doing two things at once, right? Like I'm playing.
Right, you don't actually
I,
watch. You
I
just
can't just fucking watch a show. It's so boring. Let's cry my eyes out.
cry. Wait, what?
I meant like tears of boredom. I don't know. I was typing and I was messaging somebody when I said that, so it probably came out weird. Anyways, I'm super excited.
Another
for
conversation happening.
Somebody was messaging me asking some questions.
No, you don't have to. You have to say.
Yeah. But there's so many games coming out. Diablo 4 is coming out as well.
Yeah.
Spencer's been messaging me about that, being like, "Yo,
Oh yeah.
we playing that, bro?"
Yeah, it comes out in a week or two. I think Street
On the
Fighter's
6th.
this
It comes out
Friday.
on the 6th. Street Fighter
Yeah.
6 Friday. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. And then Diablo's on the 6th. I was like not paying attention to that at all. I kind of had written it off till end of the summer. I don't know why. I got my dates confused.
Is
but
that
holy shit? Do I not give a shit about Diablo? I don't know.
I mean, I've never really gotten like played one a
I
lot.
played.
I kind
Okay,
of want to get into
that
this one.
like what is it called? ARPG? I can't remember. Action role playing game. Yeah. So that like MMOE ARPG. I've played Lost Ark, Path of Exile, Diablo 3, which like by the end of Diablo 3's life, it was a quite a good game.
Right.
So here's the issue. I was talking to Spencer about this last night. The issue is it's going to be less feature complete than a game they solved 8 years ago. It's going to be objectively worse, and it's going to suck. Like that's the reason that all these games do the live service and like don't just do a second one, is because they have to rebuild all these systems. So there's going to be a whole bunch of systems that aren't in the game. The game is going to, it looks very pretty, don't get me wrong, but the game is going to be objectively worse.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't play 3.
Yeah, well, I've played like a bunch of. So they have to compete with Passive Exile, which is I think about 10 years old and has fuckloads of content. So you have to compete with games, and then you have to compete with Lost Ark. Lost Ark's very hard to compete with for the specific reason it originally came out in China and Russia. They did years of content, and then they brought it to North America. So they're still working through a backlog of content. So say it takes you 6 months to build a raid tier. Lost Ark can do a raid tier every 4 months or 3 months even, because they have a backlog of content that all they have to do is translate, which they've already done all of it and they're just releasing it. So you're competing against games with literally 10 more years of development on you, which I think is completely brain dead. I think they should have just kept on with D3. I don't know why they didn't. So the game's going to be objectivity bad.
Microsoft knows what they're doing. They're pretty good about doing the right decisions. Yeah,
definitely. So it's probably going to be bad. That would be my 2 cents. It like, don't get me wrong. If you want to play the game for like a couple 100 hours, you'll probably have a great time.
I'm not gonna even get 100 hours. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be okay.
But if you're gonna push any of the hard stuff, if you're gonna push hardcore, if you're gonna push seasons, if you're gonna actually play the game, it's probably gonna be dog shit.
Gotcha. Well, I'm not. So
yeah, if you're playing the game for 20 hours or like an hour every weekend, it's probably gonna be oodles of fun, and the story will be spooky, and you get to like kill the devil. You know,
they don't put their games on Steam, do they? So I can't play on my Steam Deck.
Wait, where is it gonna? It's actually really easy to run Microsoft on Steam Deck, but
Windows.
No, Microsoft Games Pass.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not going to be on.
Of course, it's not on Microsoft Games Pass. What are you talking about? It's Blizzard, dude. It's not Microsoft.
Isn't Blizzard Microsoft? I thought that was a part of
No, that merger is still not gone through.
Yeah,
that's still getting approved everywhere. That's like a year or two out, and
like,
then still it's going to be Battle now.
Skyrim might be.
Skyrim's not Blizzard. What are you talking? It's on the BattleNet launcher. Blizzard has their own launcher.
Yeah. I mean, wait.
What are you talking about? Why did you just say Skyrim? That's a crazy thing to say.
No, yeah, I misspoke. That was idiotic. I thought that was a thing. I thought the Blizzard thing was happening already.
No, it's like, I mean, it's happened, but they still need to get it approved in the UK, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Some parts of Europe. But yeah, no, it's Diablo 4 is gonna be, it'll be fun. I'm gonna play it. I don't know.
Are we gonna get into Street Fighter 6? What do you think?
I'm always down for it. That's me.
I feel like Kari's gonna get into it. Okay, Kari's gonna get into it.
I'm not gonna get into it.
Game. Colton's gonna get into it because he wants to be horny, and then
I mainly wanted to get into it because of the character creator. To be honest, that's like the only. I just want to fight you guys with like our own, surprise each other with like whatever we.
Is it on Games Pass or anything? I just don't want to buy like a $80 game that we play for.
That was why I was like, you know what, I'm down for waiting.
Right, we could wait. Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's but yeah, it looks like a lot of fun in that character.
Yeah,
creator.
I'd like to get into. It'd be fun to get into like a quick game that we could all like play against each other, and pick up once in a while.
Something that's like
all good at. And it's not like we play a shooter, Calvin's really good at it, or we play some, I don't know, something good Kari's good at.
I feel like fighting is probably Kari's gonna crush us.
I didn't have examples for me or you, Kari.
You could. I know, but you couldn't even come up with anything.
A Celeste? I
think you guys would probably kick my ass doing a Celeste. I mean, probably the thing we're probably all closest on is like roguelikes. We're all probably pretty close there. And then I would say fighting game is probably you guys have an edge, especially compared to me. But I think I could maybe catch up if it was like a total refresh game.
I mean, I've only ever really played Smash. I've played probably like 10 rounds of
other
fighting games in my life.
I tried to get into Mortal Kombat, but what I found is the button combos are so fast, I physically can't hit them. Like I can't hit.
You get one of the fight pads.
No, like doing like left, up, down. I can't do it fast enough. I always found it unbelievably difficult to do. And there's probably something I'm missing, but
the new ones they make it a lot easier, controversially.
But like, who cares? The fact that I can spend I spent 10 hours in Mortal Kombat just trying to like get to the point where I could hit basic combos, and I couldn't. And I was like, what the hell? And people were like, oh, if you're lagging out by 2 ms, you can't do it. I'm like, fucking, this is stupid. And the other issue I've always had with fighting games is the devs always abandon the game after like 6 months. So we'll see.
What games are you referring to?
Name any fighting game that's come out in the last 7 years.
Okay, but like not every game has to be like a live service game.
No, I totally, Kate, I totally agree. But I'm saying all of them get abandoned. Smash has not been supported by Nintendo at all in the esports community. The only reason Smash exists is because nerds.
Okay, you're talking about communities. You're talking about communities. Yeah. You're talking about communities.
Yes.
I think you're just talking about just generic.
I'm talking about dev support. And like any community.
When I hear dev support, I literally think developer support, as in the developer.
As in developer run. Like devs running.
I get what you mean now. I get what you mean now. I think like programming support. Like,
no, they usually still, they still usually do updates. No, I'm talking about any support that doesn't make the community instantly die off within a couple months. So I'm not going to spend like weeks learning a game.
Hot take as a previously Smash enthusiast person.
Yeah.
You know what? Worse things happen in the world. I would like Smash to be bigger, but
here's the thing.
Need to chill out sometime.
Smash. Wait, what's like the most like Melee is still played. Yeah. Name another fighting game from that era that is still played to the same degree. Is there any?
I know there are actually quite a few, but I don't know the
nowhere near as big as Melee. Yeah, that's my point. No, fighting games, they're a dime a dozen, and like I don't want to learn a game that's going to be dead in a couple months.
But my point is that it's just fun to learn, anyways. Yeah, it's just fun. Just do what you want. That's kind of my.
There's so many other games. I mean, if it was just fun against you guys, sure. I just suck so much at them. Here's the thing: I suck so much at them. I'd have to play them for like a month to be able to even like to hold my own against y'all. I would just get my ass kicked. Oh no, I get my ass kicked against Kari.
I'm actually really bad at Street Fighter games and like those Mortal Kombat types. And I don't know what. I
always liked Mortal Kombat. I always thought that was cool. I always liked those games. I've always tried to play it, but
I'm definitely a button masher.
Yeah, that's what I've always done in these games too. Soul Calibur, that's what I did in that.
Yeah, Soul Calibur, yeah. They should bring that one back.
Yeah. That one has a good or pretty funky character creator too. If we ever feel that.
Yeah.
Probably get one of those for cheaper on Games Pass.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, what fighting games are on Games Pass already? That's something we can look into. But that's for another time. This is the podcast right now. I have a topic about a lawyer. A lawyer
You
He
get
was
sued again,
suing
Carter?
some airline company. Long story short, you know how ChatGPT makes up stuff.
Yeah.
They they asked it for like, can you give us similar cases about as ours or whatever? And it just like came up with a whole bunch of cases out of thin air, and they didn't bother to check to see if they were correct.
Okay, so
And
that's the problem there. I don't mind them using ChatGPT, but for a
Yeah.
millisecond, like
I
that
know,
makes
right?
it obvious
That's
that they've
like
never used ChatGPT. Like somebody was like, "Oh, just use ChatGPT," and they just asked it, and they have no under yeah, you know what I mean? Like they asked it and went, "Oh, cool," and then just didn't even think for a millisecond.
yeah, they even tried to verify it.
I mean, if you
They
spend
even
5 minutes
said
talking to ChatGPT, it just starts lying to you. So it's like,
they even said, can you give sources for this? And it gave them fake sources. So like they took that and they put it on their like official, document, whatever. Like, oh yeah, here are the sources too.
people think ChatGPT works logically when it that's not people don't understand that it's like a pattern recognition thing. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
this is a
people
big pattern
don't
thing.
get
Yeah,
if you ask it for sources, the
it's going
probably
to come up
most
with
of its
something.
data shows people giving sources and it will give something that sounds right, but it doesn't
Yeah,
like there's no logic. Like people all the time post ChatGPT doing math, and it's like there's no logic, guys. Of course it doesn't know. Uh, like ChatGPT doesn't know what 1 plus 1 is equals 2 because it does the math and the logic. It
Right.
knows it because everyone online says equals 2,
yeah.
right? Like, but people cannot
There
understand that.
is, yeah, there is a level of, I want to say, there's a little bit of extra level there, but generally, yeah, it is a language model. It is not a,
Yeah, no, yeah.
yeah.
Definitely hyper
But there's
oversimplifying
there's a
it, but
level of like
still.
intuition and stuff that like is that what makes it special, or not intuition, whatever, I don't know the words that they use, but like a reasoning kind of thing. But yeah, it's not. I just know I don't know why an actual firm would do this and not check their sources. Like I feel like that's something that you would be extra
Like,
anal
don't they
about.
have fuckloads of little, like, lawyer wannabes hanging around 80 hours a week to check shit like that? Like, what the hell?
I think it was one of the lawyers that was checking stuff like that, and they used ChatGPT. So it's like you
Oh,
you
so they're
hired.
fired as shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, there's some young 24-year-old who thought
Exactly
he
right,
was
but like, can
hot
you
shit.
right? Because that's
Yeah.
totally what's gonna be. Because all those the what do they call them? Like the lawyers out in the basement with all the books, going through trying to find documents. They'd be using ChatGPT fresh out of college.
I mean,
You know,
ChatGPT would be a great
it's
one to be
like,
like, "Hey, do you know anything about this?" And then you check
oh
it
yeah,
against
totally. But
sources, and then you write it yourself.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, exactly. Then you
But
verify.
no, they had to be the ultimate laziness and be like, "Do
Yeah.
everything for me." They could have cut their
Yeah,
time in half, but no. They needed to completely cut the time down.
I saw a good post too about it with the coding. Like, cause like I've actually used it a fair bit when I was trying to learn Unity stuff, and it is
Yeah.
very unhelpful for
Oh,
anything
really?
more complicated. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Even if you
it's
like
very
try to
much
walk
a
it through it, like if you call out areas that are weird, like
yeah, you can, but it's so much more time consuming. Like I found the best
right.
way to use it is to treat it like a Stack Overflow and be like, what does this function do, kind of thing,
Hmm.
or give me an example with this function. It's really good with that. Like, give me
Or
the
just quick
example with
basic
this.
things that it'll type out for you, and you can just copy and paste, like basic
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, really, really, really basic stuff. But like anything more complicated, it was making like for loops with the return value outside of the for loop. I was like,
Oh,
this obviously doesn't work. What do you? Yeah, I don't know. But like it's still cool. But
It's
lawyers don't
still
do that.
like I feel like this stuff is so early days still. Like, I don't
Yeah,
like
I'm
it's
not
so
criticizing in that
it's yeah.
sense. I'm just saying people need to be aware. And I know
chill.
there's also like a joke too where it's like you could spend I can't remember it anymore. Next topic. I got a chair.
You got a
It's just
chair.
a long to defend myself. It's a long phrase, and I know I'm just gonna mess it up.
No, that's
So
fine.
I'll find it.
But yeah, I
But
mean, I love hearing all the Chad GPT story fuck ups. They're great. They're all
yeah.
so wonderful. It's fun. It's don't get me wrong, it's an awesome tool, but like, meh, people are a
Yep.
little too stir crazy. It kind of reminds me of a few years ago when people who were not into tech, even a tiny amount, like people that didn't know how like an operating system is installed. People that couldn't understand the concept of a folder were starting to tell me to buy Bitcoin, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like it has the same vibes of just like people being like, this is amazing, it's the best tool ever. It's like, you don't even understand this a tiny. Not saying I do, but you couldn't even begin to use 5 words that could be buzzwords in a meeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I hate how the word AI has completely changed its meaning too. Like, just I don't know. I feel like every time
well,
you say,
what is the
even
there's
like we
that tier
say,
list of what AI is, and depending on
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's a series. I can't remember what it's called.
stuff like that is good. But I'm just talking about like general articles and just like people
Yeah.
talking. Like, oh, like before you'd be like, even with like games, it's starting to get muddled because I think there's this new AI company. Like, you say AI in a game, it could be just like a simple,
Like,
you
yeah,
know,
we've
Just
had AI
an
guy.
in
enemy.
games for
Yeah, an
Yeah.
20
enemy. But
years.
now
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like, yeah, now everyone's like, what AI? Uh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just this annoying stuff. Same thing happened with art with ray tracing. It became an NVIDIA thing and not
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
a
yeah.
rendering thing.
Yeah.
Um,
We will see.
Speaking of which, NVIDIA's worth $1 trillion now. If you
I
love
saw that.
that. Of course, with AI stuff, I guess boosting them.
Right.
They're, I wonder if they're gonna like come up to become the most. Wait, how much is Apple worth right now?
Uh, uh,
I know it's over $1 trillion too, but Nvidia could like become like the next uh, biggest, most viable company
yeah, I
if
forget.
this
I
keeps
remember I
going this
saw
way.
it was compared to other companies, and it was higher. Like Nvidia was higher than like all the other ones that listed. And they were all like, I forget what they were, but they're all things that I was like, oh my god, really? Like,
That's usually how it goes, isn't it? Right?
We've seen such a transition away from CPU, the traditional CPU power, specifically into GPU powered systems. Like everything new
Well,
is, so GPU heavy.
yeah, there's that, but like they're saying it's mainly from the everyone trying to train their own AIs now, and they're all
No, but that's what
buying
I'm saying.
Nvidia.
It's all it's all GPU, like all the new kind of fancy tools. Even if you're just talking about games or rendering, but then AI, it's all GPU stuff. So,
Hmm.
pretty cool. It makes sense that
I wonder why they aren't
fucking
buying AMDs.
Nvidia or Intel is releasing their own graphics cards now.
Yeah, I heard that they're pretty good for the price.
I mean, if you're,
Um,
they're like, yeah,
Calvin,
somebody else could talk
for
better
their
about this,
budget. Yeah, their
but they're
budget.
like, the problem is their budget. But if you compare it to the budget options from AMD and Nvidia, one of the problems with Arc is like half the games won't even run on it for video games specifically, just because
Is
there's
that
some
true?
driver issue. Yeah, it's pretty.
Because I was looking at a lot of videos about it. A lot of people were able to play most games that I would be considering a game I
You
would
should
want to
go
play.
watch Linus and Leaf.
I feel like
Talk
I
about it.
watched Linus. That's what I'm referring to, actually.
Oh, really? Their
Yeah.
conclusion was it's great, but you're gonna have to troubleshoot a lot. Whereas compared to like AMD or videos plug and play, you'll never have issues. Where Arc was like a massive headache for them constantly. In like every other game, they had to
Yeah.
get
My
specific
follow up point
drivers
was that
and have
like
specific settings and
my follow up point was that I have some opinions about Linus on that, but also like normal people who would be in that budget market anyways probably aren't going to be trying to get Arc, in my opinion. I feel like you're
they're not
probably
trying to
just
get it.
maybe I don't know. I feel like
I
you
would
would
say
just
people in that budget aren't hardcore, so they don't want to be troubleshooting every single game they plug in. So,
yeah. I mean, I get that impression, but we can move on. Um,
I mean, it's great. I want
yeah,
to see Arc succeed because Nvidia sucks and AMD's a joke. So, like the only reason AMD's still around is because of Apple, as far as I'm concerned. They had like
not for
one, like
long because of the
2 year period. Are they
M1
changing?
chips. M1 chips, so fully, don't need that.
they got their own.
Oh,
They
really?
have their
Okay.
own
Yeah, then
because
they're
of the
even more.
Apple Silicon. Eh,
Oh
so
wow.
desk
No.
setup set.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Tell us about your new throne.
new throne is very nice. It has lumbar support, and
Uh-huh.
adjustable arms, and you hear that? It's me moving the arms.
I was gonna say, was that your back?
Yeah.
See that?
Just
I
sitting
just
up from
broke
his
my
chair.
fucking back.
That's a good bit. I should actually use that feature.
Just start screaming.
Yeah,
Like, what's the bet?
I don't know, yeah, something like that. But
Yes. What kind of chair
yeah,
is it? Is it what's that fancy chair brand?
it's not
Uh,
fancy.
Herman
It's not
Miller.
fancy at all. It's
Brunel,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
moderately better. Um, it's a lock tech. It's nothing fancy.
Gotcha.
But I just have some nice. It's definitely the nicest thing I've sat on in a while.
Yeah,
And,
better than better.
Come on, man. You've been thinking about that one all morning. God damn it. It's the nicest thing I've sat on in a while. Oh, fucking A. I wish I'd been ready for that. That's stellar. Oh my goodness. Bro, I'm still on my
yeah,
IKEA like Marxist. Both of the arms have fallen off. But fuck man, it's just such a
yeah.
solid
Let's talk
chair.
about. You mentioned last time when we were playing games that you don't like armrests. You put your
I'm fat. I don't
you
mind
know, but
armrests. Armrests. You know what? I'll tell you this. Okay, one, like the reason they've fallen off is because like for like I've literally had the chair for like 8 years actually. So every time I stood up, I put a little bit of pressure on the arms, and eventually the bolts just kind of like just started to be wiggly, so I took them off. But honestly, I've never ever used armrests ever in my entire life on a chair. I've always leaned on the desk. Always.
yeah, that's what I
It's
was.
why I like
Yeah,
having really big desks and really deep desks because my elbows are on the desk. You know what I mean?
so I
So,
have my elbows on the armrest
but
aligned to
aren't
the
the
desk, so I can
armrests
have
like?
shorter desks. You know what I mean?
But then like,
And then I can sit up straight. Is that what you do too, Cade? What do you do? How's your
I was just thinking through it. And I almost said something extremely stupid because I'm standing right now, and I was like, oh, I got my armrest on. I was like, I think I only use the armrest when I'm sitting, guys. But
stellar.
I caught up to my own brain there.
I
I
think
usually have my elbows when I'm like sitting in my chair, and I usually
I always find
Right.
use
the
them.
armrests were always way too low to ever be usable.
Mm.
You know what I
Mine are
So
mean?
you get
usually
adjustable ones.
always, yeah, like just below my desk or like almost level.
Yeah, I think it's because I
Yeah,
scooch in so much. I just don't.
Mm.
And
I
it's
haven't.
nice that they're not there because then I can sit in my chair sideways or sit down sideways. It's just easier.
Right.
What about when you're in the office? Oh wait, yeah, you're not in the office for a while.
I mean, when I was in the office, for the record, at DD, my chair didn't have armrests. I don't know if you don't remember that, but they
Yes,
moved
some
me at one
didn't.
Remember?
point, and like
Oh,
I
you
went
know
from a
what?
great desk to this shitty desk with this awful chair, and then that's kind of where I was like, oh yeah, I kind of hate armrests.
Oh,
Wait, but yeah, my chair didn't. I
And
think
then
because they had like a
when I was
sit
at like
stand
my
chairs, right?
yeah, and then when I was at my previous studio, I had like a sit stand chair that doesn't have armrests either. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's been like
it,
5 years since I've sat at a chair at work that has armrests. So yeah, yeah,
yeah, I like
I
armrests.
don't
They're
miss them.
nice.
I like to.
I'm also fat.
I also like lumbar support.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
waiting
no,
for the
that's
crack again.
nice. Yeah, where's the crack? That would have
That was throwing the ball to your court. But
Yeah.
yeah. What chair do you have, kid?
I have, I got
Do you have
one
a
when I
sit stand or?
no, I have. Well, actually, I do now, but I think that one fucked my. I have. I think it was an autonomous chair that I got when I moved out of Vancouver. And it's a nice comfy chair. That's what I use mostly now when I sit. But
Autonomous chair.
autonomous. I think that's what it's called. That
Autonomous
was,
chair. What is that? Does it sit itself? I don't know what that
that was just
Yeah.
the brand name. And then now I have like a tall like drafting table chair because I just like to keep my desk up.
Oh my gosh, we might have the same. We almost have the same. I think we have a.
No, I got like a shitty one off Amazon, and I think I fucked my back up with it for a bit, so I haven't been using it.
Oh,
It was not a
really?
good.
What did it do?
Just like my lower back, like it was just like it felt like a like what's it called? Like a what's a lower back injury? It was something. It was pretty bad. I had to do like stretches every day for a bit, and I
Mhm.
couldn't sit on the chair. But I think it's
Wow.
fine now. Yeah, it was just before New York too, and I just healed up
Oh,
before then,
weird.
thankfully, because I couldn't walk for very long either.
Whoa! Wow.
Not
That's
like
really bad.
before it like started hurting. Like I could still walk,
Are
but
you
then
sure it wasn't just all the aggressive pegging?
it could be.
Could be that. You never know.
Yeah. I did cut that out around the same time. So
Imagine having to go to the doctor and he's like, "What happened?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Well,
yeah.
every other day." Like, oh my god,
Every
calm
other-
down, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, every morning.
I was gonna say every other day I like to start my day.
Imagine
With,
morning
how do I put
waking
this?
up-
Sitting on something nice, as my friend
Yeah,
likes.
yeah, yeah. Oh no! Oh no!
Anyways, I can't walk now. Yeah.
So it's that kind of chair. Gotcha.
Well, yeah, and before that, I do have like a stool, Calvin. I can hear a bit of an echo.
Sorry.
I do hear that for now.
I had like a stool, like just a singular stool that's kind of on like a rounded bottom that you're supposed to like active sit where you're supposed to kind of like lean on it and like sit down. And I used that for like a good year before it broke, which was kind of nice.
I've used the same piece of shit for 8 years.
I had the same chair as you for the longest time.
Did you ever have issues? I've never, ever, ever, ever
Those
had
chairs
are
even
great.
a twinge in my back.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It was IKEA
Nope.
Mac.
Yep.
What do you say? Max.
Yeah, like the tall mesh
Max's
back.
maximum. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah.
like 150.
Yeah, the only thing was the same thing you said. It was before I got rid of it, the armrests were getting a bit loose. But I mean, I guess I could have just probably tightened them. But
You know what? The thing I found, it wasn't actually the armrest. It's a bolt. Okay, so like the armrest bolt to a piece of metal, and then that metal is bolted to like the frame. So it's that bolt, which you can't get at unless you rip part of the chair apart. Like when I took my things off, I had to pull out a what are those cutters that spin called?
cutters that
Saw blade?
spin.
No,
A
but
drill?
like the Dremels. I had to take a Dremel
Oh.
to the bolts on like only one of them on each side. It was really annoying.
Interesting.
You really went all out to take those arms off.
Well, it was like half hanging, and there was just like a bolt poking me like the 2 times I sat down. So I pulled out the old Dremel and just fucking went to town on it. You know? Hey, bud.
Interesting.
Anyways. Well, congrats on the new
Wow.
chair. I hope it doesn't cause you back problems.
Yeah.
Thank you. I already feel better. Honestly, my previous one probably was already causing me it.
Yeah.
So I actually, I like it was the point where I didn't even want to really work at home or even like sit down and hop on calls with you guys, even just because like I just did not want to sit in that chair.
Really,
Jeez.
you know what?
It was
I've never
super-
fucking ever had a chair that I found uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe because
it was
fat,
such
but
a
even
bad
when I was
decision.
younger, I never had.
Yeah, I mean maybe it's because I'm spoiled, but I just it was
But
just
like
so,
I've never had pain or even mild discomfort. So like it must be just.
Yeah, this was the first chair that I got where I don't know if it was years of building up and it just coincided like same time as I got the chair or if it was the chair.
Anyway,
Yeah.
get a good
That's
chair,
chairs.
buddy. Damn, or just go to IKEA.
Yeah, that chair did me no wrong either, so
Yeah, it's hard to. I honestly, if this one just completely gave out on me, I'd probably just go buy another one of those because
Yeah.
why not?
Yep.
immediately saw off the armrests.
And just not even put them on.
I probably I would just probably wouldn't put them on.
Oh right. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
And then,
Well,
that's that could be our show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's,
for
video games.
joining
A
us.
little bit short because we didn't have our beloved Colton to read us a poem.
I don't think he has one yet. He's got to fuck up 2 more.
Oh
times.
right.
Oh, one more time.
Today doesn't
right?
count because he because he warned us. I
Oh,
don't really
right,
care if
right.
he doesn't show up because like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah.
If you
He's
if you give a warning before 1 when we record,
Yeah.
I think you're off the hook.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Especially with what we do. Like, who knows?
Yeah. It's the 20 minutes after or the 2 hours after he's like, oh shit, sorry guys, forgot the
it's
scheduled thing we
literally
do
about,
every
like,
week.
The do we wait or not? You know what I mean? That's the only thing that bugs
Yeah.
me. Everything else I don't care about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, enough bitching about our co-host. We'll see ya.
Well,
we'll
yeah, we
see
gotta
ya
wait. Next week we'll bitch him out though. Don't worry.
Oh yeah,
That'll be the
we'll
first
always yell at
segment.
him.
Okay, well that's our podcast, everybody. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Thanks.